Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-Vikasa Swaminati Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti-Vedanta Swaminati Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we can come a little more forward. Anyway, there are very few devotees. Yes, thank you. So, just to recap, so in the first two verses, Krishna explains about the most confidential knowledge and he establishes why this pure devotional service is the most confidential and the topmost of all the knowledge. Then Krishna goes on to explain when one does not understand this, then he goes into the cycle of birth and death, mrityu samsara vartmani. Then Krishna goes on to explain about the yoga maishwaram, about his opulences, about his inconceivable power, how he is sustaining this universe, how he is creating, maintaining and sustaining everything. Then after having explained about the yoga maishwaram, Krishna goes on to explain for one who does not accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, doesn't accept his, when he comes in the human form, who deride them, Krishna calls them as fools. Then Krishna goes on to explain what will be the destination of those who are bewildered with such a, they are bewildered, they are completely in ignorance and in Maya, and so they will be, they will not attain any benefit. Krishna explains in the verse, Moga Shamoga Karmano. So then he goes on to explain how those devotees, what are their characteristics. So he explained about the non-devotees or the non-worshippers in the two verses Avajananti Mamuda and Moga Shamoga Karmano. Then in the verses Mahatmanastu Mam Partha and in the verse Satatam Kirtayanto Mam, Krishna explains about the symptoms of his pure devotees or the qualities of the pure devotees, how they are, where they are situated, what are the activities they perform. So this is what we saw yesterday. Now Krishna goes on to explain about another category of worshippers who are not on the level of the Mahatmas. So somebody may question, no, we will not be able to do such kind of devotion. So what about the other situation? So that is the point being discussed here. Now we are getting into another section of the Gita. Impersonalists, the worshippers of the universal form. Verses from 15 to 19. So Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu, he speaks like this. Krishna now speaks of other devotees who have a predominance of jnana with the processes of bhakti such as chanting as secondary actions. And also Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says in this regard, now the Lord shows three other types of devotees who have not been mentioned previously, who are inferior to the previously mentioned ones. So this is the point. Okay, now let's see the verse. Jnana yajnena chapyanye yajanto mamupasate ekatvena pratatvena bahuda vishvato mukam. Others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. As now we see here, Krishna uses this word Anya. Anya means others, categorizes him in other category. In others category. The point is that in the 7th chapter, Krishna already spoke about 4 kinds of devotees who surrender to him and 4 kinds of others who do not surrender to him, or he basically classify them as dushkritinas. They don't surrender. Now he is giving another category who are not in the level of those four, but again another three extra categories he is giving here. So let's see what are those. Prabhupada begins the purport. This verse is a summary of the previous verses. The Lord tells Arjuna that those who are purely in Krishna consciousness and do not know anything other than Krishna are called Mahatma, which we saw in the last two verses. Yet there are other persons who are not exactly in the position of the Mahatma who worship Krishna also in different ways. Some of them have already been described as the distressed. Some of them have already been described as the distressed, the financially destitute, the inquisitive, and those who are engaged in the cultivation of knowledge. So you remember the verse? What is the verse? This is what Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jignasur artarti jnanischa bharatashaba. Now in this verse, we can see there are three categories Krishna is speaking about. Ekatvena, Pritatvena, and Vishwato Mukam. Bahuda Vishwato Mukam. He who worships himself as one with the Supreme Lord. So this is Ekatvena. Then he who concocts some form of the Supreme Lord and worships that. This is Pritatvena. He who accepts the universal form, the Vishwarupa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bahuda Vishwato Mukam. Let's go through each cases. Out of the above three, the lowest, those who worship themselves as the Supreme Lord, thinking themselves to be monis or most predominant. Such people think themselves to be the Supreme Lord, and in this mentality, they worship themselves. This is also a type of God worship, for they can understand that they are not the material body, but are actually spiritual soul. At least such a sense is prominent. Generally, the impersonalists worship the Supreme Lord in this way. So now, in this category, we can see of the three categories he is speaking about, Ekatvena, Pritatvena, and Bahuda Vishwato Mukam. This is on a very lowest stage, Ekatvena, trying to see themselves or equate themselves with God. So what is the point Srila Prabhupada is making here? He is saying that one thing is, there is one thing which, there is hardly anything to appreciate, but if at all we can have to appreciate something, they just try to realize that they are not this body and they are eternal. But the whole idea of comparing themselves with God is not proper. We will see some of the quotes from Srila Prabhupada's lectures where Srila Prabhupada is pointing out from this where this knowledge of coming to know that we are not this body, we are eternal, where it should lead to. Srila Prabhupada points out that. You can come more on this side. So these are the category of monists who are thinking themselves to be God. So this is the first category. Then Pritatvena. The second class includes the worshippers of the demigods, those who by imagination consider any form to be the form of the Supreme Lord. See, there are two things here. One is that there are so many demigods. They consider one of the demigods, they start worshipping one demigod, and then they consider to be same as the Supreme. There are so many demigods, all are one. Everything is Supreme. This is the predominant conception that we see in India, right? There are, we go to someone's house, we see so many pictures. Starting from, you can see the entire avatars, starting from Krishna, Rama, Govinda, then comes to all the other, Dakshinamurti, Ganesh, Murugan, then Surya, Kartikeya, everyone, all big list. So one time we went for a program in someone's house. We have to find out 33 crores of demigods. At least there are, you just remove one number. All the photos were there. So that is their idea. So there everything. So the thing is that we should not miss anyone. We may offend someone and then we may get a curse. They have this concept. Anyway, so the thing is that they're ready to do some demigod worship. And also, if you see in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada points out, yes, you see here, we just read, he who concocts some form of the Supreme Lord and worships that. Also, they concoct anybody. Sometimes, we see some people are very much fond of some senior actress, or, they are fond of some sports personalities. and they worship them as God. Very offensive. Once we heard, one fellow was saying that, for me, such and such a person is Krishna for me. He said, to really have to jump in the Ganga. They have this idea. They just concoct some imaginary form and then they claim themselves to be God. So that is another category. But also here, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that they take to some demigod worship and think that demigod to be the supreme. That is also being referred here. Then the third category, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out, Vishwatomukam. And the third class includes those who cannot conceive of anything beyond the manifestation of this material universe. They consider the universe to be the supreme organism or entity and worship that. The universe is also a form of the Lord. So this is the worshippers of Vishwarupa, or all the vibhutis or energies of the Lord. That's what they could see. Whatever that they see here in this material world, we may even put the pantheism in this category, the pantheism. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 2nd canto, Shukadeva Goswami, he speaks about all different categories of worshippers. Right from the 1st chapter to the 3rd chapter, if you see, he deals with all different kinds of worshippers. And then he concludes that of all the different kinds of worshippers, the best ones are those who take to the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So here, we so far we saw the three categories of various worshippers, and of the three categories, Vishwarupa worshippers are in a little better state. Now we will see in the commentary, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is pointing out. Now, in this chapter, the previous chapter, the Ananya Bhakta, also called the Mahatma, is shown to be superior to other devotees, such as the one who approaches the Lord to rid himself of suffering. Now, the Lord shows three other types of devotees who have not been mentioned previously, who are inferior to the previously mentioned ones. Those who worship themselves, those who worship Pratika or secondary forms, and those who worship the Vishwarupa. So who are the four kinds? So, Artho, Jignasur, Artharthi, Jnani. Then three more he is adding here. Ekatvena, Pratatvena, Vishwatomukam. So, and these three are in the lower categories, and of the three, Ekatvena worshippers are in lower category. Okay. Now, further, in the commentary it is explained. Okay, we will just skip that. Okay, I'm just going to skipping few things to save time. We are going to see from Prabhupada's quotes. Okay, here from the commentary of the Baladev Vidyabhushana, we will see a few things. The Lord then describes the method of this worship. They worship me who am actually one, but who am situated separately with material forms consisting of Pradhana, Mahattattva and other elements, Pratatvena, and I am situated as the form of Devatas such as Indra, Vishwatomukam by many methods, Bahuda. So this is another explanation, worshipping of the demigods. And also various, the Lord expands, into Mahattattva, Pradhana. So they are interested in those secondary forms. Now, the point is this: Krishna possessing subtle spiritual and material energies, whose every wish is fulfilled by willing, let there be many, remains one with his spiritual and material energies. But in a gross manifestation is situated in the form of variegated universe, starting from Brahma down to inanimate objects. They worship me through chanting and other process related to me in order to realize this conception. So they will do some worship of the different demigods, but seeing them as not as part and parcel of the Lord, they see them separately and they think that to be the supreme. So these are the other worshippers. So here is a quote from Srila Prabhupada's lecture. The purpose of this Ahangrahopasana is that if you study yourself about your spiritual position, then you can understand what is God. If you minutely study your spiritual position, Ekatvena, because we are qualitatively one with God. So if I analytically study myself, what I am, what are my propensities, what I want to do, so many things we have got. If we simply make an analysis of ourselves, then we can study also the Supreme Lord in greatness. That's all. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is pointing out. By studying oneself, you have to go to that stage of studying about the Lord, learning about the Lord's greatness. But that doesn't happen. Okay, here is another quote from the same series of lectures. So somebody prefers to the universal form, somebody prefers that. Everything, whatever we see, it is God. And somebody prefers that, I am God. So these are different methods of appreciating God. But they are also accepted because they have taken into the line. They are better than who are just like animals, simply eating, sleeping and defending and mating. But those who have taken either of these, Jnana Yajnena, Prataktvena and Vishwatomukam. So those who are impersonalists, they prefer these three processes. And those who are personalists, they prefer directly to worship the Supreme Personality of God as Sri Krishna. So they are all transcendentalists. They are on the line. But here in the Bhagavad Gita, those who are directly worshipping the Supreme Lord, they have been described as Mahatma. And those who are worshipping in other processes, they have been described Anye. So this is what we explained the point. Anye is the Krishna putting in all of the others in other category. Srila Prabhupada refers to a verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, who is actually intelligent, he says. So those who are intelligent, they take the root, you see. Therefore in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will find in a nice verse, Krishna Jai Bhaje Shai Bhada Chatura. One who takes to Krishna consciousness seriously and perfectly must be very, very intelligent. Chatura means very intelligent. One who worships Krishna directly is very intelligent. Why he is very intelligent? He does not take so much roundabout way. He goes directly. No need to do all this. Take to this indirect process. Take to the direct process of Krishna consciousness. So the material energy is also the energy of the Father. And as I am a spiritual spark, I am also part of the Supreme. So he is my father and mother. Therefore, somebody worships the Supreme Lord as mother, Goddess Kali. That is materialism. Because in the present conception of our life, this body given by the mother is matter. Therefore, worship mother means worship the matter. That's all. There are many worship of mother. You worship your country. That is the same material worship. That is called Shakti Upasana. Shakti Upasana. Shakti means you are worshipping the energy of the Lord, not the Lord directly. You are worshipping the inner energy. All this nationalism or manyism we have discovered, they are. Even the scientists also, they worshipping the mother. He is finding out the complexities of the matter. So he is also worshipping mother. So materialism, this is called materialism. One who is worshipping the mother, material energy is called Shakta. So now I just want to, I remember one incident. So devotees also should be very clear with the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Our priority in our life is serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We should not be attached to this body or to the expansions of this body or to this nation also. Sometimes, not sometimes, many times we see those who are not clearly convinced with the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, they are attached to the nation. Sometimes when there is a match between India and Pakistan, some people, they go to the temple and offer prayers. Actually, you also see some of them going to the mosque, and then on Friday they will do, what is it called, namaz, right? So they offer such prayers. Specifically, sometimes they have the certain matches fixed on Friday. I just remember when there is some matches that happens in Sharjah, exactly the finals will come on Friday. So that Pakistan will think they will win and India will think they will win, and like that. This is all complete gross materialism. Just some weeks back, I saw one devotee, so-called devotee. He's just playing with the Indian flag and dancing and worshipping. So they're attached. This attachment is foolishness. It's very simple. If we are going to be attached to our body and the expansions of the body, we are going to just remain in this material world. We may be born in India, not in the human form. We may be born in a different body, wherein we can never think of Krishna. So it's an important thing not to be attached materially to the nation. Who are we? Sometimes you see the map of a country. When you just see, oh, where are you? We identify ourselves with the local places. Oh, you are from Telangana. Very nice, very nice. Immediately there is an attachment. I am also from Telangana. He is also from Telangana. Or I am from Karipur. You are also from Karipur. I am from Vallavidyanagar. You are also from Vallavidyanagar. Oh, you are from Vallavidyanagar. Oh, very nice. Immediately we start identifying ourselves with the body and our place. So, but we have to understand that this is not healthy for our Krishna consciousness. This is detrimental. We all belong not to this dark place. We belong to Vaikunta. That is our place. Sometimes when people ask, we can use it as an opportunity to preach. So you are from which place? I'm from Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha. And then they ask, what is Vaikuntha? Then we start to preach. Okay. So he says, I am from, this place in Delhi and, this is famous for this and that, not by that they can read from any book or any newspaper or any internet. Tell them about Krishna, tell them about Vaikuntha. This is so important. Not that we just speak about mundane things. That's detrimental to our progress in Krishna consciousness. So that's why Srila Prabhupada here is pointing out all this nationalism or shamanism we have discovered. They are, even the scientists also, they were worshipping the mother. He's finding out the complexities of the matter. So he's also worshipping mother. So materialism. This is called materialism. One who is worshipping the mother, material energy, is called Shakta. There are 5 stages of evolution. Shakta, then Ghanapatya, then Shaura, then Shaiva, then Vaishnava. In this way there are 5 stages. So the impersonalists, they worship in 5 ways. Panchopasana. They are called Panchopasana. So when he comes to the Vishnu stage, he comes to the real stage. But impersonal Vishnu, all pervading Vishnu, but when you come to the personal Vishnu, then that is perfection of worship. So that doesn't happen so easily, coming to the perfection of Vishnu worship. That can happen only by the mercy of a pure devotee. Otherwise, they worship the impersonal and they think themselves to be that Vishnu and they become offensive also. Now there are 2 kinds of personalities, right? One is the Brahmavadi and another one is the Mayavadi. Brahmavadi, he wants to merge with the Brahman, but he is not offender of Krishna. He is not envious of Krishna, but the Mayavadis are not like that. They are envious of Krishna. Okay. Okay, now Srila Prabhupada in another lecture, he speaks about the same Ahangrahopasana and he concludes that what the idea, even if somebody thinks that, so here, nice Srila Prabhupada points out. So he speaks about, that somebody thinks himself to be God. But he says one should really think, use common sense, intelligence, and try to understand. So this is a sense that in that process one may understand. If one day comes into his sense, well, I am God, I am worshipping myself. But if I go to the street, nobody asks me what kind of God I am. So this sense should come. I may think, well, I understand that God lifted the hill, Krishna. He lifted the hill at the age of 7 years. So I cannot lift even 100 pounds or 50 pounds. What kind of God I am? So this sense should come. You can worship yourself as God. That's all right. That's a process. That process is to understand that you study yourself and then you understand the real constitution of God, not that you become God. So these are different methods, of course, but we should not be satisfied simply by the methods. We should try to go further on and on. Just like a little boy, he is promised by the father. He is in the 8th class. Father says, my dear boy, if you can pass this 8th class, then I can make you a magistrate. I shall make you a magistrate. Boy is very enthusiastic. I shall become a magistrate. You see? So similarly, these are some of the encouragement. So this is the whole idea. That not that ultimately you stick to the idea that you are God, just to help you begin your spiritual life. Some ideas are given. Okay, this is the last quote. Anya means others. They may not have been given much importance even though they have been accepted. The manifestation of the universe is also the manifestation of the energy of God. And the energy of God and the God is non-different. Therefore, one who takes the manifestation of the energy as God is not mistaken because there is nothing beyond God. If you think I am God, yes, you are also God because there is nothing beyond God. Ahangrahopasanam. If you think everything is God, that is also true because in the higher conception there is nothing beyond God. Sarvam kalau idam brahma. Sarvam everything. But then also simultaneously we understand how we are not God. That's required. Okay. Now Krishna goes on to explain about the how the worshippers of the Vishwarupa, how they do the worship. So he goes on to explain about this in the next 4 verses. That's required. So how one can worship you as Vishwarupa in many ways. Bahuda. The Lord speaks in 4 verses in response. Text 16. Aham kratur aham yajna swadaham aham aushadam mantroham aham evajyam aham agnir aham hutam. But it is I who am the ritual. I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. So now Krishna is showing through the vibhutis, that when one can see that actually all these things, they are representing Krishna. Krishna says, I am all this. The Vedic sacrifice known as Jyotishtoma is also Krishna, and he is also the Mahayagya mentioned in the Smriti. Now we can see in this few purpose, it's just a little bit of observation, that how many times Prabhupada uses the word Krishna, you can see, all the times, in this, I am the, so let's say, of the sacrifice I am the Krishna, the oblations I am Krishna, fire I am the Krishna. You can see, if you observe the purport, so many times Prabhupada uses the word Krishna, 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 Krishna everywhere. You remember Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur once, they publish articles. So there was one article written by one disciple. So he just asked, so how many times Krishna's name is there? See, Krishna's name is there. There are many times Krishna's name is there. So the article was immediately published. It just reminds me of that. His purports were very nice. There also you can, when we read the Gita's purport and some other purport from Bhagavatam also, sometimes Prabhupada many times repeats the word Krishna. You can also, if you remember Srila Prabhupada in the 8th chapter, we were reading the 2 verses, Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam and then Antakale Smaram Neva. You can see in those series of verses, the main point Prabhupada is hitting again and again the Maha Mantra. So in the test also we asked one question. If you have simply written the Maha Mantra, you get 1 mark. That's the whole key. All our study, all our hearing, everything should ultimately end up in what? Developing full faith in the holy name. And if we can develop that, all the scriptures are meant for that, to develop full faith in the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This fire of Sankirtana will always keep us awake. It will bring us out from the slumber of Maya. We will not be sleeping, we will always be in the awakened state by taking shelter of Krishna. Okay. So Krishna is pointing out that here, so when there is a yajna that is happening, you have the offering, you have the oblations, you have the fire, you have the butter, you have the mantras. Krishna says, I am all of this. Krishna says that. One has to remember this. Okay. Sure. Okay, I'm just going to the last part of the purport. Those who are engaged in rendering devotional service unto Krishna are to be understood to have performed all the sacrifices recommended in the Vedas. So there are so many people who are engaged in different karma kanda worship and various other worships. So they do it very sincerely in a ritualistic way, but they forget that that actually the essence of all this, or even the objects of all this, is actually Krishna. But some people they worship like this. But this is all. So they worship the secondary forms. So here Srila Prabhupada is concluding the commentary saying that actually one who has engaged in devotional service, he doesn't have to do anything else. Simply the Navaveda Bhakti is in itself sufficient. Okay, now let's go to the next verse, text 17. Pitahamasya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedhyang pavitram omkaram viksama yajurevacha. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sama and the Yajurvedas. Now it is interesting, in this verse Krishna is pointing out that he is the father of the universe, he is the mother. So we should all know actually who are our real mother and real father. Our real mother and real father is Krishna. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhana Pran. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he sings in his bhajans. So that is the understanding. And it's also very interesting to know here that, to make a note that Krishna is also pointing out, he's the father, he's also mother, he says. So how is that? Yeah, because we see, actually, ultimately, and we can see, Durga Devi, she's the mother of this earth, But also we can see, yesterday we heard from the Brahma Samhita that she is acting under the will of the Lord. Everything she is performing because of His will. She is the shadow of the Chit potency. So in that way, Krishna is actually the father and Krishna is actually the mother. And one other thing that we can consider, we can remember, that Krishna, he is the mother and he is the father, and he is very compassionate also, isn't it? He cares for us, really. For our attitude, we have rebelliously left him. We wanted to enjoy separately from him. We don't want to be in Krishna's association. But still Krishna doesn't want to leave us. He's coming to this material world. Like how our father and mother takes care of us. Although we may do some nonsense things, useless things, but they still chastise us, correct us, give us a chance. So that's why, sometimes when we hear about definitions of God, some people, they turn into atheists. You can see, some of the writers in the West who have written, they become atheists. They say that when they hear the conception that you have to eternally suffer in the hell, he said, what kind of a God is this, that you have to suffer eternally in the hell? Even my father gives me a chance if I do some mistake. He corrects me and gives me a chance. So, but that's the compassionate nature of the Father. So that we could see. Okay. And also, here Srila Prabhupada is pointing out, Krishna is the object of the knowledge. Also in the 15th chapter, Krishna is going to speak very clearly that by studying the Vedas, we have to know the real object of Vastava Vastu. Who is that person? That is Krishna, the Supreme Personality. We need to know that. And also, he is the Om, he is the Pranava, he is the transcendental sound, and also he is the subject matter of the three Vedas. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Okay, here is a quote from Srila Prabhupada's lecture. Now he says, Pitaham asya jagataha, I am the father of this material world. How does he become the father? What is the definition of father? The father is one who gives the seed. Then he says, Mata, I am the mother also. What is the definition of mother? Mother receives the seed from the father. The child is born. Similarly, this material energy is the mother. We obtain this body from our mother. So this material covering is the mother. And I am a spiritual spark, the seed. I am part of the Supreme. The material energy is also the energy of the Father. And as I am a spiritual spark, I am also a part of the Supreme. So he is my father and mother. But the problem in the modern civilization is that it is trying to kill our thought process to recognize who is our real mother and real father. In the modern civilization, everything is matter. They want to worship the matter. That's what they are trying to do. They are trying to kill the natural intelligence of the soul. Yesterday we heard in the lecture, Srila Prabhupada said, it is intelligent, there is someone behind this fan. Prabhupada is speaking, how this fan is rotating, there should be someone behind it. So that's a natural inquisitiveness. It is naturally there in the spirit soul. But the modern thinkers and the scientists of the modern world, everyone, they want to deny Krishna, they want to deny God. So that is their idea. Okay, text 18. Gatir bharta prabhu sakshi nivasa sharanam suhrit prabhavah pralayasthanam nidhanam bijam avyayam. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. Okay, Krishna here, he explains that he is the Ghati. There is no other Anya Ghati, there is no other shelter other than Krishna. So that's why real intelligence is to understand what is Krishna's position and take shelter of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada points out here. There are many who make as their destination different demigods, and by rigid performance of the strict respective methods they reach different planets known as Chandraloka, Suryaloka, Indraloka, Maharlokas. But all such lokas or planets being creations of Krishna are simultaneously Krishna and not Krishna. Such planets being manifestations of Krishna's energy are also Krishna, but actually they serve only as a step forward for realization of Krishna. To approach the different energies of Krishna is to approach Krishna indirectly. That's what. So we will see in few verses to come. So Krishna doesn't authorize this indirect worship. So although Krishna, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that it is simultaneously Krishna and not Krishna. So don't take to this indirect worship is the suggestion given by Krishna. And also we can see when we worship the demigods, the demigods themselves are not so much satisfied by that actually. We can see in the life of Chandidas. Chandidas, a great poet, you might have seen his name sometimes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So he was a worshipper he got the name Chandi. She was worshipper of Durga. So he used to worship Durga very opulently. And when one worships Durga, one becomes rich. So this is the idea. So he was a worshipper of Durga. He had a brother who was a Vaishnava. He was a worshipper of Shaligram, Vishnu Shaligram. He was worshipping Shaligram, but he was very poor. He never had any money. He was very He did not even have money to get a flower. So, but in the next place where he was staying, where his brother was staying, is the Chandidas was also staying. He had a beautiful garden, but that garden was kind of covered. It is not so easy for somebody to enter in and then pluck a flower. So one day this Chandidas' brother was thinking, oh, you saw one beautiful flower. It was so nice. If I can offer this flower to my Shaligram, it will be excellent. It will be, Lord will be very pleased. So he was like that, he was meditating and he was trying to offer that flower. So next day what happened, Chandidas came to do his puja to his Durga deity. And then, he plucked exactly the same flower what his brother was meditating on. And then he offered that flower to Chandidas and to Durga. So then Durga Devi, she said, thank you very much. And Chandidas was, he got bewildered. So long I've been worshipping you and suddenly what happened today? You responded, reciprocated to me, you thanked me. And Durga Devi said that, thank you, you offered me prasada today. This flower was offered to Vishnu. So she is actually a servant of Vishnu, isn't it? She's doing a thankless job, trying to put everyone in this material world, but she, in her heart, she's a devotee of the Lord. So we can understand that. So this is actually indirect worship. The direct worship is to worship Krishna, Vishnu directly. So the demigods are also happy by doing that. So that is the point to be understood. So Chandidas was then he took up to the worship of the Lord. So that's the point. We need to understand that it is better to directly worship Krishna, not the demigods. Okay. Srila Prabhupada makes a point. One should directly approach Krishna, for that will save time and energy. For example, if there is a possibility of going to the top of a building by the help of an elevator, why should one go by the staircase step by step? Isn't it? You have an elevator, just take an elevator and go to the 10th floor. You don't have to go step by step. Don't go through the indirect process. But there are always some people who ask some foolish questions. Gokul said that, there was one fellow when he was doing preaching, he was asking him a question. But when we are going by the elevator, if there is no power, then what we will do? These are some kind of useless questions. It is like that, there was a logician who met a simple farmer. He has a bull, and then he takes care of the bull, and then the bull he has tied a bell to the bull, and the bull goes around, what is this? What they call chakya in Hindi. It just goes around. It grinds something. So like that. So this logician came and asked this farmer, I just want to know why you have tied a bell for this bull. He said that it's very practical. That this bull all the time it just rotates. It just goes around. And whenever it goes around, I know the bell is always I hear the bell sound. Whenever I don't hear the bell sound, I understand that the bull is not now moving. So I come and then I give a push. Then this logician asked the question, what if the bull doesn't move and it stands in one place and it shakes the bull? Then the farmer said, this only the logician will do and the bull will not do this. So it is like this, these kind of, when the people ask kind of these useless questions, you can respond like this. So yeah, it is intelligence just to use the elevator and go up. So not to simply take to the indirect worship. So that's the point. So here Krishna is pointing out that Krishna being situated, so everything is resting on Krishna's energy. He is Gatir, Bharta. And then Krishna is also the supreme witness, Sakshi. So we have how many Sakshis? We are thinking that we will now try to do something separate from everyone. We will be in privacy. Nobody will see us. But the Bhagavatam explains that there are so many witnesses. The demigods are witnesses. The 10 directions are witnesses. The Lord is seated inside our heart as Paramatma. There are so many witnesses that is mentioned. And Krishna is the supreme witness. Upadrashta Anumanta. So he is the ultimate goal or shelter. So that is to be understood. Okay. Let's. Okay, one other point that comes when Krishna is Suhrit. But actually similarly, a devotee who tries to help someone to take up Krishna consciousness, he is the real well-wisher. Or he is the one who helps the other personalities. Why? Because others who do not take to the service of Krishna, actually they actually harm others. You may say, how can you say that someone is harming others? Yes, by not showing Krishna is actually whatever help he may do, whatever activity he may do, that person is going to be in the repetition of birth, death, old age and disease. And also he may be engaged in some kind of a sinful activity. Supposing you save some person from somebody was extremely sick, you have saved a person, but if you have not sufficiently given him the knowledge of Krishna consciousness, he may again engage in some sinful activities, he may again engage, like we know one famous, this Mother Teresa, so much she is being glorified. Some kind of a selflessness we could see, but she saved so many people in the streets in Calcutta and like that. But those, they were also fed meat actually. Maybe there might have been a pious person who might have never he might have ate meat, but after being saved and when he was in the hospital, he was fed meat. It's a sin, sinful act is being performed. So that's the point. So unless we give Krishna consciousness to others, we are only giving suffering to others. That's the whole point. Okay, here is Srila Prabhupada relating one incident from one of the lectures. Just like there is a very nice story, a monkey, they are very busy. Do you know? But their business is to simply destroy. You will find a monkey always busy, very active. So in the village, there was a carpenter who was bifurcating one big beam by saw. So at the end of his work, half of the beam was cut into two. So he put one clock between the two pieces and he went away. And then one monkey came and he pulled out the block and his tail was captured in that, between the two, and it was cut. So he went into his society and he said that this is the fashion. This is the fashion. Languli Hina Shrugala. He advertised to cut one's tail. This is the latest fashion. Similarly, I saw one cinema in my childhood, a similar story. One Mr. Max Linder or something like that. He played that. He was sitting in a park and some naughty boy nailed his tail. That tailcoat went ball dancing. So when he got up, that half part of the tail was taken away. So when he was dancing in the ball, everyone is looking to his backside. What is this? His tail is cut. So he saw in the mirror that my tail is cut. So he began to dance more nicely and everyone asking, what is this? Oh, this is the latest fashion. This is the latest fashion. So everyone began to cut his tail, you see. So life is going on. I have become befooled. I don't want that my son will be intelligent. Let him become befooled. Let him become befooled. This is called punaf charvita charvananam. Repeatedly chewing the chewed. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi vishnum durashaya. But from the Bhagavad Gita, we understand that our ultimate goal of life is to reach Krishna or the Supreme Lord, Gatihi and Bharta. Bharta means maintainer. Maintainer. He is maintaining everyone. That's a fact. You see, this is an interesting point. Now you see how Srila Prabhupada is relating. He is such a, supreme preacher. He is relating this incident to make the point that don't be befooled by all these modern fashions and all these modern ideas. Take shelter of Krishna. He is the supreme shelter. If you don't take shelter of Krishna, our life will become miserable. Durashaya vahirarthamaninaha. That's the point, here. Srila Prabhupada is very much explaining that, we have somehow become fooled. Let us not, our children become fools. Right? We went and then wasted our life in so many nonsense things. Let us give at least our children, our younger generation, a chance to take up Krishna consciousness. This should be the intelligence. Okay, now let's go to text 19. Tapamyaham mahang varsham nigranyam yutsujhamicha amrutang chaiva mrityuscha sadasachaham Arjuna. O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also the death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. So now Krishna is again speaking about his various vibhutis. Now he is the one who is giving the heat. He is the one who is sending forth rain. He is the death personified. He is immortality. And another interesting thing, he is saying that both spirit and matter are in me. Everything is within Krishna. Okay, now let's look into this particular portion of the purport. Srila Prabhupada is pointing out, by analyzing all these different energies of Krishna, one can ascertain that for Krishna there is no distinction between matter and spirit, or in other words is both matter and spirit. See here what Prabhupada is writing. In the advanced stage of Krishna consciousness, one therefore makes no such distinctions. He sees only Krishna in everything. So this is the advanced stage of pure devotee. He doesn't differentiate between spirit and matter. See, there is one in the memories. There's several Srila Prabhupada memories. Vishnujan. What is his name? Oh. His face is on my, I'm able to remember his face, not getting his name. Very, very profound point he says. Once Srila Prabhupada was preaching, he said that for a pure devotee, he doesn't see anything separate from Krishna. Everything, Revati Nandana Swami, he was Revati Nandana Prabhu. He is very nice devotee, he presents some of very nice incidents. So he explained that. So once Srila Prabhupada said that for him, for a pure devotee, everything is prasada actually. So if something is offered or unoffered, doesn't matter. Watch out. This is specifically, I'm speaking about pure devotees. We cannot. Srila Prabhupada also, at the end of the incident, he gives a remark. So he said that everything he sees as Krishna. Everything, there is no difference between spirit and matter, because everything, he doesn't see anything for his enjoyment. This is the vision of a pure devotee. So Prabhupada, he said that, so a pure devotee, so for him, it doesn't matter, something is offered or not offered, because there is no question of enjoyment. Then Prabhupada said that, but you don't please preach this out, don't preach this to others, So then because we already have a tendency, anything that is given as an exceptional thing, we just try to misuse it. So, but we have to go through the process. We have to offer everything to Krishna. We have to take only Krishna prasadam. We should not misuse and then try to honor something else. But the point is that it is true. Sarvam kalo idam brahmam. We heard, So everything is actually Krishna. That's the whole point. But then when matter is engaged in the service of spirit, the matter becomes spiritualized. So this is our philosophy, isn't it? So, but the same matter, if it is not engaged in Krishna's service, the same matter will bind us if we try to enjoy. You see, it's a question of attitude, it's a question of vision, it's a question of consciousness. How do we look at things? How do we look at things? For a pure devotee, that's why he doesn't see anything separate from Krishna. So material, spiritual, everything is spiritual for him. This is his vision. Okay. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here. In the advanced stage of Krishna consciousness, one therefore makes no such distinctions. He sees only Krishna in everything. Since Krishna is both okay, now Srila Prabhupada gives another point here. Since Krishna is both matter and spirit, the gigantic universal form comprising all material manifestations is also Krishna. And his pastimes in Vrindavana as 200 Shyama Sundara playing on a flute are those of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You see here how Srila Prabhupada is pointing out. So, all these material manifestations, that is Krishna, but why don't you take to this direct worship of Krishna being the Shyama Sundara? Take to the direct worship of Krishna who is playing the flute. Take it to his direct worship. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is hinting in all this verses. Also it's speaking about worship of these different vibhutis. Prabhupada is all the time bringing back us to the pure devotional principle of worshipping Krishna directly. Why Srila Prabhupada is presenting it like this? We discussed this before. All the time, wherever you see in purpose, he brings the point of pure devotional service. Anybody remembers? Can anybody give a proper answer for this? That's why many times some people argue, actually it is karma yoga. Prabhupada is again speaking about karma yoga. Also, he's comparing it to pure devotion. Yes, jnana yoga. He's speaking about devotional service. Now also we see Krishna is speaking about Bahuda Vishwato Mukam. Prabhupada again in the purpose he's pointing out about worshipping Krishna directly. Why it is like this? Why Srila Prabhupada is always pointing out? Okay, it is our constitutional position to serve Krishna. Yeah, that's one good point.
Chapter is reading, someone is reading. You should just focus on this thing. That would be the understanding of the reading. Okay, it's also a good point that we should all never forget that actually pure devotion to Krishna is the focus of the entire Bhagavad Gita. Yeah, that's true. That's actually an essential point. If you see, you remember we read one from one of the lectures of Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was speaking about the subject, the title of a book called Shah Jahan. So actually in that book there is all the atrocities of Aurangzeb is explained. But then the person asked why this book is named as Shah Jahan. So then the author said that actually the whole narration, everything is based on the incident of Shah Jahan. So I know why I kept the name as Shah Jahan. So Prabhupada said that actually if you ask the right person, he knows what is the actual message of the book. Similarly, the Krishna, he is the one who spoke the Bhagavad Gita. What is his intention? His intention is that everyone should become his servant. Everyone should glorify him. Everyone should become his devotee. That is why you see the main subject matter of Bhagavad Gita is actually bhakti, nothing else.
That's why we see constantly this point is being emphasized. So pure devotee understands this, and then he is able to relate to what actually Krishna is trying to convey. Are you getting the point? Are you able to remember? Okay. Okay, now after having explained this, now Srila Prabhupada points out further about the worship of the demigods. Now in the next section we are going to discuss with other sections of the Gita, where in the next 5 verses Srila Prabhupada is going to speak about the demigod worshippers. Okay. Those devotees who worship me through these 3 methods and know me as the Supreme Lord become liberated. But those who follow material karma do not become liberated. This is explained in 2 verses. Now, in these worship, so gradually, if somebody could detach himself from matter and then he comes, gradually takes to the direct worship, then there are chances for liberation. But now Krishna is going to explain about if somebody simply worships for material benefit, he is not going to be liberated. He is going to be conditioned in this material world. Now Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu is pointing out, having described the qualities of his devotees in order to give a further understanding of them, he contrasts them with those who are averse to the Lord in 2 verses. So there are still some people who are not interested in any kind of liberation. For them, what is spiritual life, or what is their goal in life? The goal in life is to enjoy the senses, be happy, enjoy this world. This is their goal. Remember, once Srila Prabhupada, he was in Japan, this Dai Nippon company where the books were printed. So there was a meeting with the higher executives and everything that happened. Then Srila Prabhupada met a junior executive. He was also in the meeting and everyone else left. Only the junior executive was there. So Srila Prabhupada asked him a question. So what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve in your life? What is your goal? Then that person, he took there were several cards, there was a visiting cards, you say. So there was a card of his superior, then there was a card of the director and another managing director, like that. There are several cards. He put all these cards in a hierarchy, and he took his card and then he put his card on top of that. And then he said, that is what is my goal, I want to become that. Then Prabhupada started preaching to him. This is what is there in this material world. This material world is we just completely, all the time we get baffled. There is no happiness in this material world. He went on preaching. So this is the point. But there are some people who are having hope against hope that they can enjoy this material world. So now we can see there are worshippers. There are some people who do it in a very dharmic way. Who are those? We will see. What are those people? Who are those people? Traividyamam soma paputa papa yajna irishva swargating prartayante te punyamasadya surendra lokam ashnanti divyan divideva bhogan. Those who study the Vedas and drink the soma juice seeking the heavenly planets worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planet of Indra, where they will enjoy godly delights. So now this is the point. So what is happening? Some people, they want to enjoy this material world and they have heard about the enjoyment in Swargaloka. So now same thing, in India also, we all want to, many of the so-called youth, what is their dream? Their dream is to get into Microsoft or get into Intel or any big software corporation. They want to go to United States of America and then they want to be eternally happy there. But they do not know that they cannot be eternally happy. There also there is suffering, there also there is difficulty. So for them that is the highlight. But even we cannot imagine the pleasure that is there in the Swargaloka. There is, whatever pleasure that we have here is nothing. But we can enjoy pleasures for several years. And the more the punya you accumulate, the more the enjoyment. And also based on the punya that you accumulated, based on the post you get, based on the position you are in, the punya also gets, it gets nullified soon. For example, let's deal it with a simple example. Let's say you have a credit of 20 lakhs. Now you have 20 lakhs. With 20 lakhs you can spend as much as you want, and whatever commodities you purchase, supposing you have spent a lot of amount on a particular commodity, your balance will come down. If you have spent a little money on certain enjoyments that you have done, then the balance is going to be more. Similarly, you go to different lokas are there, and in Swarga Loka you take different positions, you have different enjoyments you have, and if you take the position of Indra, that very quickly, you have to have so much pious credit to become Indra, and you take a position of Indra, and then you go and then sit on the asana of Indra, then your pious credit comes down so quickly. That's why here we can see. So those who are taken to this path, so they go to the Swarga Loka. Their pious credits they enjoy. There are so many beautiful apsaras are there. There is so many dance parties, everything you enjoy. But there is always some kind of fear also sometimes. What is the fear? Anytime you will be kicked out. Suddenly you are kicked out from the Swarga Loka, because once your pious credits are over, you can't bribe anyone, nothing can be done, you can't make any adjustments with anyone, you are finished, you are back to this material world. Now you can see here, in this kind of worship, there is, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here in the purport, by such endeavor, what endeavor? By trying to please the demigods like Indra and Chandra, what happens? The worshippers of different demigods are certainly purified of the contamination of the lower qualities of nature, and are thereby elevated to the higher planetary systems or heavenly planets known as Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka. How is that? By worshipping the demigods, you are purified of the lower qualities. How that happens? See what happens. You see, now it's not that there are some bona fide process. Even the Karma Kanda worship, a person has to be clean. He has to take bath. He has to follow certain niyamas. He has to follow certain rules and regulations. You can't just do some kind of crazy worship. So you need to, there may be some vratas to be followed. So many things are there. So for all these things when you follow some rules and regulations, you wake up early, you keep yourself clean, you take bath. All these things are in what guna? You have to be in sattva guna. So in that way, you are purified. But all your purification is meant for comfortable sense gratification. And after comfortable sense gratification, again you come back. So the people do not know. So that's why here Krishna is pointing out that what happens after all these things, although you have hundreds and thousands of times greater enjoyment, you suffer. You have to, when the punya is over, you come back here. So that's the point. Now Krishna in the next verse, he points out that, so what happens after having, you take the somaras, it's a beverage, you get so much strength. So people here, they also think that there is somaras, they go to Tasmak and then take, for those who do not know, Tasmak is Tamil Nadu State Marketing Corporation. Good if you do not know, but those who came from North India, I'm just explaining you. So they go, then they try to drink, and then they think that now I'm taking somaras, I'll be happy. But they get headache, body pain, all kinds of diseases because of that. But that somaras, it gives you vitality, so much strength, you can enjoy more. But then you can enjoy all the time. No, what is happening? Tetang bhuktva svargalokam vishalam shine punye martyalokam vishanti evang praidharma manuprapanna yatagatam kama kama labante. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. Brahma bhuvana loka punaravartino Arjuna. Amupetyatu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. So Krishna very clearly says, you go to the Indra loka, Chandra loka, whatever loka you go, once the pious credits are over, come back to this Martya loka. This is what is the result. So if one who is little intelligent, he will not waste his time in all these things. So what he will do, he will use his intelligence, and then that's what happens, how the gradual gradation, how it happens. So the person, he just performs so many karma kanda, he goes up, comes down, and suddenly one day he thinks, Indra also falls down. Oh my goodness, what is then? Maybe there should be, this is too much, there should be some other way. So then he comes to the Brahmana, and then he takes the process of jnana. And then after jnana, bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate. After that, very rarely, by the help of a few devotee, he can take to this worship of Krishna consciousness, take to the worship of Krishna, take to the process of Krishna consciousness. So that's what the two verses explain. This is the main point of these two verses. But who can actually sustain? Even, you go to the heavenly planet, there is also so much temptation there. Only devotees, they are not attracted by this. Some people, you want to go to Swarga, That's why, if you see this Goloka chart, you can see there are several attractions, but a pure devotee is not attracted by any of these things. When you think of some example, quick example that comes to the mind is, who is that great personality? Arjuna was a great devotee of the Lord. He was in, you can just take the contrast of, you just take the case of Arjuna. He was not at all attracted by the beauty of heaven. He was in a higher taste. He was a pure devotee of the Lord. So you remember, who was that? Urvashi, right? When she wanted to, she was seducing Arjuna to enjoy with her. Arjuna was so self-controlled. He said, "You are my mother. I'm not interested." So Arjuna was so self-controlled because he was a devotee of the Lord. So only a devotee is self-controlled. A devotee is not interested in any mundane pleasure. His interest is only lies in serving Krishna and his pure devotees. Okay, now Krishna is contrasting about his pure devotees with those of the worshippers of the demigods. Now, Lord Krishna gives details of his own devotees. This is a very important verse. Also I wanted to tell, yesterday there are a few verses which are very important. For example, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha. These are very important verses with respect to preaching. And also Abhajananti Mam Muda. That verse is also important. So these three verses 11, 12, 13, Mogasha Moga, all those four verses from the perspective of preaching, are very important verses to memorize and know the translations. That's very good. Okay. Text 22. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So Krishna here speaks about his devotees who are engaged in exclusive devotion. Now, there is one point I missed to explain. In this demigod worship, when they engage in so many karma kanda worship, there is also a great risk involved. Actually, it's a very, very elaborate worship process, and you need to be very careful in what kind of yajna you're doing, what kind of puja you're doing. Even if you if you make little mistake, that will create a great disaster. And also, in your puja and worship, if you displease a demigod, oh my goodness, you are in great difficulty and you're in great trouble. So there are so many demigods, we have to carefully please all of them. So you cannot displease them. Now we can see the contrast here. Krishna, on the other hand, worshipping Krishna is it's not like that. No, if you sincerely and seriously take to the worship of Krishna, even if you inadvertently make mistake, Krishna doesn't take it very seriously. He ignores it. He helps the devotee, if there is any deficiency also. But not that now we have to take up the devotional service with negligence. It's not like that. Inadvertently, if you make some mistakes, Krishna forgives that. He doesn't hold it or he doesn't think about it. Okay. Now let's see what Srila Prabhupada offers in this purport. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization. So here Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that who is that Ananya Bhakta? What is he doing? 24 hours is engaged in Krishna's service. Ananyas chintayanto mam. This is the point. For who Krishna is responding like this? Responding like what? He is preserving whatever what Krishna says. Yeah, he preserves what they have and he provides what they lack. Okay? So, to whom he does this? Ananyas chintayanto. We should not forget this. Who is always absorbed in his service. Who is always thinking of him. So, Prabhupada here defines this as to be yoga. And here, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out what is that Shema? What is the Shema that is being referred? What is the protection? The Lord protects the devotee from not falling down. Prabhupada concludes the purport. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga, and when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable condition of life. So this is assurance Krishna is giving, and he takes care of his devotee. And if there is anything lagging, Krishna provides that. So there is nothing a devotee needs to be worried. He is simply worried how to please Krishna. Now, it's very interesting. We will see the commentary of Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. He is pointing out how the Lord is so affectionate to his devotees. We will see the commentary. On the other hand, the happiness of my Ananya Bhaktas is given by me. It is not obtained by pious acts. They are at all times well versed in matters concerning me and are always ignorant of all other things. Or the phrase can mean that they constantly desire to be in my association. For such persons, I take care of their attainment of wealth, yoga, and their maintenance, kshemam, though they do not expect such things. You see, this is the point. A devotee does not expect anything from the Lord. This is a very important symptom of a pure devotee. Very important characteristics of pure devotion. They don't expect anything in return from Krishna. Okay. It would be unsuitable for the Lord simply to say that he performs these acts. Thus, the word vahami means carry is used. Now in this verse, yoga kshemam vahamyaham. So now, that means the Lord says that personally I carry my devotee. The use of the word vahami indicates that the Lord bears the burden of maintaining their bodies in the manner that the householder takes the responsibility of maintaining his own wife and children. Thus, one should not say that, like others, their attainment or preservation of bodily needs is due to karma. So, do you understand this? What here Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is pointing out? He is saying that in all other processes, there is so much endeavor and hardships are done by the person who is practicing it. Here also the endeavor is there, but the devotee is completely depending on Krishna. This is the thing. And he is now, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is raising a question, very interesting question, where people also ask this question. Still, since you are Atma Rama, enjoying within and indifferent to all things as the Supreme Lord, where is the question of you bearing this responsibility? You are still self-satisfied and everything, why you have to do it personally? And also some people can raise a question, why you are putting the burden on the Lord? It's not justice, it's not fair, When the Lord has to carry your thing, this is not good. But the Lord is doing it out of devotion, he is very much, he loves to do that. Because a devotee does not know anyone else other than Krishna. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayantoham madanyad navi janati naham tebhyo managapi. So this is what the Bhagavatam explains. The devotee does not know anyone other than Krishna, and Krishna does not know anyone other than his devotee. So this is the point. So Krishna's devotion to his devotee and the devotee's devotion to Krishna. There is a transcendental competition between both of them. So here, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is further referring to the glories of pure devotion. Bhaktir asya bhajanam tad iha mutropadi naira sena mushmin manakalpanam etad eva naishkarmyam. Bhakti is worship of the Lord, concentrating the mind on Him, renouncing all material desires for enjoyment in this world and the next. It destroys all karmas. Because my Ananya devotee has no karma due to lack of desire, his happiness is given by me. Though I am indifferent to all else, I have great affection for my devotee. This is the cause. One should also not say that in giving the burden of their maintenance to their worshipable Lord, the devotees show lack of prema. In fact, they do not give to me that burden. Rather, I by my own will accept it. You see, devotee doesn't want to give any kind of difficulty to the Lord. Remember, when the beginning, we were hearing one amazing incident when Sanatana Goswami was very upset with, who was that? Raghunath Dasa Goswami. I think, he was doing his bhajan. He was so much intensely absorbed in chanting the holy names of the Lord. It was a hot sun. So, Srimati Radharani personally came and then she was holding her sari so that it will not be, he will not be suffering the heat. And Sanatana Goswami later came to know actually who came, who did that, and then he chastised. So, that means actually it is completely pure devotion. But this is the mood of our acharyas, this is the mood of our sampradaya, that we never want to take any service from Krishna. We always want to serve Krishna. We should always understand this. That is the exhibition of pure devotion of the devotees. But what happens? The Lord, He wants to serve the devotees. This is the whole point. See here, he is concluding. Rather being attached to my devotees, I take the greatest pleasure in taking care of their needs, like carrying the weight of one's Lord. Okay, so this is the main point here. And also one thing we should not think, now Krishna will take care of everything. Krishna will provide me everything. A devotee never thinks like this. Simple example you can take of Sudama. Sudama never thought, even when his wife asked her to, you have your friend Krishna, you can go to Dwaraka and meet him, he will help. But Sudama never thought, oh, let me go and then see Krishna, and then if I go and see Krishna, Krishna will provide me. What was his motivation to go and then see Krishna? Oh, so long I never saw Krishna. This is an opportunity to go and then take darshan of Krishna. This was Sudama's motive. This is how the pure devotees are. They were never interested to take anything from Krishna. Now, Srila Prabhupada, in one of his lectures, he points out an amazing incident from a life of a great devotee, and he speaks about it. Now, I will just read it from one of the lectures. Now, this Arjunacharya, that's a very nice story. When he was writing commentaries, he thought, how is that? The Lord will come himself and deliver the goods. It is not possible. He might be sending through some agents. So he wanted to cut Vahamyaham, and actually he cut that Vahamyaham and he put Karomyaham. It will be done. Like that he changed it. So Arjunacharya is a very great devotee, and he was a Brahmana, very poor Brahmana, and they don't even have anything to eat in their house. So I'll just continue reading this lecture. So he wrote in that way that I sent some agent who delivers. So that Arjunacharya went to take bath, and in the meantime, two boys, very beautiful boys, they brought some very nice foodstuff, very large, in large quantity. And in India, there is a process to taking two sides burden on the bamboo. Just like a scale, it is balanced. So these two boys brought some very highly valuable foodstuff and grains and ghee and the same, and his wife was there. And the boy said, my dear mother, Arjunacharya has sent these goods to you. Please take delivery. And you are so nice boy, you are so beautiful boys, and he has given. And Acharya is not so cruel. How is that? He has given so much burden to you, and he is not kind. I was not taking. Just see, he has beaten me. Here is the cane mark. See. His wife became very much astonished that Acharya is not so cruel. How he has become so cruel? Wife was very upset. Why is so nice, innocent boys? These boys, one is very blackish in color, has got a beautiful lotus-like eyes. Another boy is like a marble, white in color. Two boys are very captivating. She was captivated by these two boys. And then when she saw the marks, and she was very upset. My husband, she was wondering, such a nice Brahmana, he never used to do all these things. But still she was very upset when these two boys showed the marks on the back. So she was thinking in that way, all right, my dear boys, you come on and give him shelter. And no, I shall go, because Arjunacharya again comes. He will chastise us. The boys said, no, we want to go. He will again come and beat us. No, you sit down, take footstep. She prepared footstep, and then they went away. And when Arjunacharya came back, then he saw that his wife is eating. Because it is a system of Indian family that after the husband has taken the food, the wife will take. So they don't take together. After the family members, the boys and the husband is simultaneously fed, then the housewife takes. That was the Vedic culture, Still, in some places that is being done. Still, in some places that doesn't happen. Why? Because wife doesn't cook at all. Both the husband and wife together, they take in the restaurant. So Arjunacharya, you are taking food. What is that? No, he did not. I am mistaken. Sorry, he said, that you are. So the wife said, Acharya, you have become so much cruel nowadays. What is that? Now two boys, very nice boys, they have brought so many foodstuff. You loaded on their head, and they denied to take it, and you have beaten them, chastised. He said, no, I have never done this. Why shall I do it? Then she described, such a nice, beautiful boy. Then Arjunacharya understood that because I wanted that God does not deliver, so he has delivered these goods. And because I cut these alphabets that he does not give personally, so he has shown that beating mark. There is an incident in southern India of Yamunacharya. That story is there. Of course, you may believe or not believe. That's a different thing. But here the Lord says that I personally deliver. So those who are in Krishna consciousness, those who are actually busy in the matter of discharging their duties as a Krishna conscious person, they may be assured that so far their living condition is concerned, or their comforts of life is concerned, that is assured by the Lord. There will be no hampering. Thank you very much. So this is true. We can see in Krishna is protecting the devotees. Krishna is taking care of the devotees. There is one incident. There was a Ratha Yatra festival in London, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami was there and His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. Both of them were in the question and answer booth. There was one lady, she came and asked, who is taking care of you? Who is providing you food? She asked the question to Jayadvaita Maharaj, and Jayadvaita Maharaj immediately responded that Krishna is providing us everything. Krishna is giving us food. And it was a little strange for us, how Krishna is giving everything. And then the moment Maharaj said this, he saw one devotee, he came with one big full plate of Mahaprasadam. Then Maharaj, you see, I told you Krishna is providing us. So that was a nice incident. That's true, Krishna is providing us. Even when we are staying in the ashram, we do not know, how much money we have, how much stock of grains we have. We are just living on Srila Prabhupada's account. Prabhupada is providing us everything. All we need to do is just follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and everything is taken care. Our business is to preach the glories of Lord Krishna. Then everything is taken care. And also you remember this famous incident, those who have heard from the devotees. Devotees did not have much money in the early days of the movement. It was very difficult to run the movement, even every day sometimes, even the cooking was difficult, everything was very difficult because they did not have much money. Every day it was very tight. So once Shyamasundar Prabhu and other devotees, they had to pay monthly rent. I think it was something like $2,000 or something has to be paid, and it was very close. The month end came and they did not have money. So they were thinking, what are we going to do? How are we going to pay? So one morning they were just walking on the street, and then Krishna came in the form of dollars. Suddenly, and exactly they found the dollars, just the wind brought it, and then they counted, and exactly whatever they need to pay the rent, they got it. So these are just one or two stories. There are so many stories like this, wherein devotees who dedicated their life in Krishna's movement and they could actually see Krishna reciprocating. We can see that in our lives. So all we need to do is to completely accept Krishna's words and his instructions and follow and take up the message of pure devotion. So that's the important point. Okay. Now Krishna goes on to explain, this is the case of those who are taking worship. What about worshipping your demigods? Worshipping the demigods. Are they also, they're also actually worshipping, it's like worshipping you, right? Is that okay? Like that a question is raised here. But those who worship Indra and the Devatas also are actually worshipping you. Why do they return to samsara? Is the question Baladevi Vidyabhushan Prabhu is raising. Krishna is responding. Text 23. Yepi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayan vitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantya vidipurvakam. Those who are devotees of other gods and who worship them with faith actually worship only me. O son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. You see, here Krishna very clearly is pointing out that the worship of the demigods is not authorized by me. It's avidi purvakam. So immediately here, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that what is the proper way of watering the tree? So the proper way of watering tree is to water the roots, not you water the leaf or the flowers or the twigs or the branches, but actually you water the roots. Similarly, if we are hungry, we put the food in the stomach. No, don't put the food somewhere else. Then you may end up in trouble. So Prabhupada gives another example. He says, one has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only, not to someone else. So this is the principle of pure devotion. This chakora bird, it is explained. The chakora bird, it doesn't drink water from anywhere. It just drinks the rainwater. Whenever there is when there is very cloudy, and then the chakora bird is waiting. Okay, now it's an opportunity to drink water. So similarly, the principle of pure devotion, we don't go and then worship, take shelter of any other demigods. We have discussed this before also, specifically in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. They call it, the chaste, one who is chaste. He doesn't go to the prostitutes. So if they even compare that, going to the, if you go to the demigod temple, it's something like you've gone to the prostitute. So this is their, mood. That you only Krishna is supreme, just take worship of you worship only Krishna. But then also we can see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He did visit other temples of demigods, but wherever he went, he immediately offered praise, everything only in relationship with Krishna. He goes to Shiva's. Similarly, we also, if we happen to we are in some yatra, we go to some Shiva temple, what do? We offer prayers to Shiva. What is the prayer we offer? Shiram yatadadi vikara vishesha yoga. So like that we see everyone in relation to Krishna. So that is the understanding. So we should not take to this indirect process. We should not take to this wrong process. So that very clearly. So these 4 verses are very important. The 7th chapter, Krishna explains about how the worship of the demigods is for the less intelligent people. And also this particular verse. Also actually, even you worship the demigods, actually the faith, the strength, everything is given by Krishna. He is the root cause of everything. So the intelligence is to worship Krishna, not anyone else. So that has to be understood. So that is the point that is being made here. Okay, also one other thing, somebody should not think that, nowadays sometimes we see there is worship of other demigods, they try to keep Ganesh, or some people they try to worship Shivalinga. We can see when Srila Bhakti-śāstra Saraswati Thakur, when he established the Gaudiya Maths, only in one Gaudiya Math in Calcutta, he established the Shivalinga, and he showed how to worship the Shivalinga. He showed that, first of all, the Arati and the Prasadam, everything is offered to Krishna, and then it was offered to Shiva. So that's the understanding. So we should not introduce something new. Whatever our acharyas have given, we should try to follow the footsteps of our acharyas. We should not try to introduce something new and then try to create confusion among the people. And then what happens? It drifts our focus from Krishna's lotus feet. We become our Ananya Bhakti is lost. So that is why so much advice is given given by all our acharyas, instructions are given by all our acharyas, and also Krishna very clearly expresses what he wants from his devotees. And also, it's because of so many mundane writers who completely misinterpret the words of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. If somebody who has got a proper translation of the entire verses of the Bhagavad Gita, forget about even the commentary, simply by going through the translations of the Bhagavad Gita itself, proper translation, one can immediately understand that Krishna is Supreme Lord. So when he sees the worship, the sections of the verses, Krishna is speaking about the demigods, very clearly he speaks that they are less intelligent. And when he just reads this verse, that is Avidhi Purvakam, one will understand that no, we should not take to the worship of the demigods. So this conclusion one can come to. But there are so many rascals who completely change the meaning. So that is very important that we need to hear from bona fide devotees. Avaishnav mukha udgirnam putam harikatamritam shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpochishtam yatopayah. So we should not hear from the non-devotees. That's why Srila Prabhupada was often repeating this point. Otherwise we will be lost instead of worshipping Krishna, we will think that everything is same, everything is one. So now, why it is Avidhi Purvakam, that is being explained here. So and also Krishna expands on that verse, why it is Avidhi Purvakam. Text 24. Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhureva cha natumam abhijananti tatvena chavanti te. I am the only enjoyer and master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. So now Krishna very clearly says, I am the bhokta, I am the real enjoyer. I am the master of all sacrifices. Already Krishna spoke this where? He spoke the specific word he has used. Yes, thank you very much. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam jnatva mam shanti vrachati. Very clearly says, I am the bhokta, Krishna says. If you know Krishna is the bhokta, what is the point in then going and then pleasing someone else? Krishna clearly expresses that that I am to be given all the respects, all the worship should be done for me. So Krishna also says, in the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, men with the with material desires, they go and then take shelter, they worship me. They say in the 4th chapter Krishna says that. And also Prabhupada here points out that even if you have material desires, better you go to Krishna because you will be purified soon, and by the continuous worship of Vishnu, you will get rid of the material desire, and then you will be fixed in the in our constitutional position as eternal servant of Krishna. One other point comes to my mind, that another reason why we should not worship the demigods. Yeah, Krishna is the Bhokta, and also Srila Prabhupada is also quoting this in several places in the Gita and other purports also, because the constitutional position of the jiva is to render service to Krishna. So, what the Padma Purana says, Dasa Bhuta Harer Eva Na Anya Seva Kadachana. One should not, our constitutional position is eternal servant of Krishna. We cannot, Na Anya Seva, we are not meant to engage in anyone else's service. Okay. So that's the main point of this verse. Now, Krishna is contrasting the destination of the demigod worshippers and the Krishna worshippers. So what is happening to those who worship the demigods? Where do they go? And what is the destination of those who worship Krishna? Is it all same? Is everything is one? Jatomat, Tatopat, is it same? Okay, Krishna is answering. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitrivrataha bhutani yanti bhutejya yanti madhya yajino pimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. So here Srila Prabhupada is speaking about the different kinds of worship, and you worship the Pitris, you worship the Rakshasas, you worship the you engage in black arts, whatever activity you perform, you are going to achieve their destination. You are not going to achieve the destination of Krishna. So this is a very important understanding, because people do not know about the different destinations. They think that all gods are same, all destinations are same, because of a famous preaching of a so-called Murki mission founder. He gave this idea, Jatomat Tatopat. All paths lead to the same goal. All paths doesn't lead to the same goal. It is just common sense. We can understand. Day-to-day life, we can see. If I have to go to my house, I have one route. I just take that particular route. If there are no other routes, you have to take only that route. Say buy a ticket to Calcutta and I cannot go to Chennai. It's foolishness. You go and try that in the train, then you will be arrested by the TT, or you may have to pay a huge fine. So it's just common sense. It's foolishness to say that everything is one. All the paths you take leads to the same goal. So it's complete nonsense. Krishna very clearly defeats that idea here. Prabhupada here very nicely points out that, in fact, many people, because of the modern ideas, they do not even know that there are different planets and different destinations. And Prabhupada concludes the purport pointing out that, unfortunately, many people have no information of these sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live, and because they do not know of them, they fall down. Even the impersonalists fall down from the Brahma Jyoti. The Krishna consciousness movement is therefore distributing sublime information to the entire human society, to the effect that by simply chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. So this is the important point here, that one should take to the worship of Krishna, and by taking to the worship of Krishna, by following the principles of devotional service, one will go back home, back to Godhead. That means one goes back to Vaikuntha, or one goes back to Goloka, and that is the destination by worshipping Krishna. And another point to be noted is that when we go back to such an abode of Krishna's abode, that abode is a permanent abode, eternal abode. That abode doesn't get destroyed. We heard that in the 8th chapter of the Gita, right? That why the definition of that place is parastasmastu bhavanyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana. So this is the point, that abode, it's not destroyed when there is a total annihilation that happens. That is the specialty of the Lord's abode. So whereas if you go to any other destination, you may be in that destination, but you have to come back to this material world and suffer. You see, this is another interesting thing Prabhupada points out. From the commentaries, we can see, Nyachyavante chamad bhakta mahati pralaye api. My devotees are not destroyed even at the time of pralaya. So, and also the Lord's abode is not destroyed. Okay. Okay, I'll just stop here. If you have any questions or comments, you just take one. Already time is up. Any questions, comments, any realizations? Okay, so tomorrow we are going to enter a series of verses where Krishna is just waiting to speak that. It completely speaks about the glories of pure devotional service. In the next 8 verses, Krishna glorifies pure devotion and he is urging us to take to this pure devotional process. Thank you very much. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.